Imagine doing everything the law asks you to do. Filling out the paperwork, showing up to your immigration appointment, following every single rule, and instead of walking out, you're arrested. That's exactly what happened to Vika. She came to the United States as a Ukrainian refugee during the war. She fell in love with a U.S. citizen. They got married and started the legal process to adjust her immigration status. When they finally received their immigration interview date, they thought it was the final step. They were so excited, but instead, ICE agents walked into the room and Vika was taken into custody. She spent the next 38 days in detention. Inside, she did something amazing to help herself and her fellow inmates cope. She started teaching yoga, encouraging proper nutrition and exercise. Outside, her husband Louis was fighting every day to bring her home. Today, they're sharing their story for the very first time. I'm Mila Aratunian, and this is Punching the Clock, where I show you what powers you have under the law. Welcome back to Punching the Clock. Usually on this show, we break down legal cases or workplace policies. But today's episode is a little bit different because sometimes the law becomes real through someone's story. So first of all, thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Yeah, of course.
I'm so excited to have you. And this is your first time sharing your story publicly since...
Yes. Yeah. So
together.
We've had a lot of people interested in the story, but one, I think there was comfort that we wanted to have comfort with somebody that we talked to. And I think speaking to you, being part of our story, it was like, that was like, made the most sense. So when you offered the opportunity, I think we were both like excited to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. I'm grateful because I think the story is really important. It's important because we talk a lot about how people's rights are violated and bringing huge lawsuits, and we don't talk a lot about the human part of that. And as of this time, like, we don't even know if you can have civil claims because ICE was following government orders. But I want to talk about the human aspect and how it's affected you. And I think it's particularly important because you were one of the first people this happened to.
Yeah.
I was telling Vika yesterday that after this occurred, I actually posted on my social media about this and kind of told the story because I was in such shock and I didn't even know what to do. And I got so many hateful comments of like death threats, people saying I'm lying, I'm trying to bring down the government, that I had to delete the post. No one knew it. It hadn't happened very much yet. So I guess let's get right into it. Vika, tell us the story.
We started our journey trying to follow the rules that were put in place for us.
Well, tell us how you came to the States for the first time.
In my home country, Ukraine, the war was started by our neighbors, and it wasn't safe for me anymore. And I'm that kind of person who can't function when it's not safe around. So I was looking for the safety. I left Ukraine like in a week after the war was started, and at the end I happened to be to US because I never planned to go to US in my life. So I just did it. And then the program is United for Ukraine, which is officially called humanitarian parole. It means that I was granted the official papers before entering the US. So I had a paper, basically the invitation to US, which I came with through the airport by the immigration officers. I was granted it's still not called visa, but parole for next 2 years. I never crossed the border or anything else. I was granted the papers and officially came to the US to seek the safety and protection as they opened this program for many Ukrainians.
And then you met Louis. And I remember, I was thinking about this. I remember she was at my house and she was like, it was my birthday and I did a candle making class and I met this man. And I remember exactly what you said. It stuck with me because it was so powerful. She said, it feels like he was created for me.
Yeah,
That's what she said.
I think honestly that is kind of like how we feel about each other. That night is like we couldn't kind of get away from each other. We couldn't even go a day.
This is what I want.
Yeah.
This is like the heart talking. Years of immigration before the moment we met, it all led to him. That all was it. Just because of it.
I literally have goosebumps right now. And then how long after were you married?
3 months.
Yeah, you were inseparable. I remember. It was so fast, but it just fit.
Yeah.
It just fit. They say when you know, you know. This was
Yes.
the exact situation where you knew literally from day one, because I think you came to my house the day after you met him.
Yes, it is just instant. And also, like, I know people date, get to know each other, and so on, but both of us, before we met, went through a big, like, processes in our lives, like therapy, tryings. Both of us were seeking of, like, strong relationship. And that's why, at the moment we met, we were already ready for each other.
So fast forward, and I remember and I'm sorry, it'll be probably traumatic, kind of going back to this horrible day, but I also remember when you were super excited to finally go in and get your marriage approved, because you got married, and then so tell me, you set the interview to get the marriage approved through immigration. Is that how it works?
And it was a big goal to finally, like, have our paperwork done, to being able to leave the country, because before I didn't have right to re-enter the U.S., so I couldn't leave U.S. Because we were together, and the main goal was, like, to have it done and being able to go to see my family.
So tell us what happened at the interview.
We had no reason to believe anything was going to happen. We were calm. We were excited. We were like, okay, this is going to be simple. We're going to go in. Like, we had plans to go to the grocery store after and get stuff for Thanksgiving. She had marinated a turkey and had it all ready.
Giant turkey for the whole friends group.
Yeah. So this was just a small part of the day, but it was like a big moment because it was finishing this long process.
I was following Reddit about these interviews, people's stories, and really a big percentage of people got approved right there at the interview or next day. So we didn't have doubts why it wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, we had no reason to believe that anything was going to happen. Getting into the office, she was asking us questions as normal, but she was typing a lot. And I was speaking and sharing, and she was not asking questions to, like, ask questions. She was, like, almost like stalling. She was, like, taking time. And then so we got to the part where she was asking some legal questions about like, have you ever overstayed your visa? And she didn't know how to answer that.
Before we made a decision to go with this case, I double and triple checked everything, how to do it right, because my parole was expiring, but our legal marriage was in when I was legal in the country. And the reason I didn't go for prolongation of parole or getting another TPS status, because all the history of similar cases shows that once you're married with the U.S. citizen, you don't need anything else. Like, it's okay. You have your case pending.
It's kind of like they kind of looked away. It's like, okay, yes, this is part of the process. We'll kind of not pay attention to that
Pending
part.
case meant you were legally in the country, being in the country legally.
And I've known tens and tens of people who have came here and gotten married, and this has never been an issue.
Yes.
This is completely unprecedented.
Yeah, it was all the advice and everything that we had seen and read said, like, yes, that it's technically you're not supposed to do that. It's not legal, but it's part of the process, and everybody just kind of looks past that because they know it takes a while. So we were kind of winning with the confidence, like, for like 50 years that hasn't been an issue. So why would it be an issue now?
Otherwise, with my old double and triple checking, if I would find out that it's an odd way to go, I would just apply to prolongation of my status, and we would go with 2 cases parallel. It wouldn't be a problem. It was just a logistical, I don't know,
Oversight?
maybe, because why would we do two cases at the same time if they both about like almost the same,
Yeah.
just to make your documents like in order to be legal here. That was our intention. It's not like intention wasn't right. Did I overstay? She basically obviously couldn't give us any advice, so I said yes. She's saying, okay, other officers want to talk to you, I'm leaving. In my head, it was like maybe someone else who has more power wants to add some questions, or maybe someone else can make decision, not she cannot. And then
Well, I thought, looking at it now, I thought maybe somebody was coming in to like say congratulations, guys, and they were like gonna come in with like some papers or something. Yeah, and then I can see outside the door because there's a glass by the door. The officers outside, they walk in, and it's kind of like when you're asleep, your eyes are trying to focus on and see all the details that are exactly in front of you. So it took a sec to piece it together, but I remember she was like, hello, hi. She said that. She said hi. She was like, these guys are walking in, so she's like, hello. And then I'm looking, and I can see that they have the tactical vests on, and it says ICE. And then I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then he says,
I still had no
yeah,
idea.
she was still. I figured it out before she did.
They said here is an order for your arrest.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, what? We're married. Like, here's our like paperwork is going on. What do you mean being detained? They say we're like arresting you for overstaying your visa. I'm like turning to Louis, saying, is it really happening? Like, is it real? It can't be. And he said, it probably nothing you can do. And I'm like in shock. And they want me to stand facing the wall, putting handcuffs on me. I'm standing up. First I was like, okay, what to do? I guess still in the office, I said, Louis, call Mila.
Yeah.
Right there immediately. And since that moment I started to cry, and for the whole time until coming to the ICE detention downtown I was crying. It was about 3 hours. They first took me out of the office and brought to the parking where they have their van, and they had to continue handcuffing me even more. By that moment Louis came. He was looking for the car, and he happened to be exactly where I was. And basically on his eyes, they were putting handcuffs, like
Shackles.
they opened the handcuffs behind my back, put me in front with handcuffs, chains here around my waist, ankles, chains too with handcuffs. I even had like bruises and cuts here because it's fucking heavy metal. It was happening in front of my husband, putting handcuffs on me, chains, like if I killed someone. Because you know this image, like handcuff, like chains on the legs, is only for murderers.
Yeah.
It was like so humiliating. It's feeling of like full. It's very embarrassing.
And I think that's the worst part of it to me, because Louis called me right away. I think he was still with you when he called me.
So as she was leaving the office upstairs, she's like, call Mila, and so I'm like, okay, and I'm just panicking. I just feel like everything's kind of like in slow motion, and I don't know if you've ever been into that garage at the USCIS building. It kind of goes in a loop, like if you're not paying attention and you don't go to the right space. So I literally was like just looping and looping and looping, just lost. I could not figure it out. Like my brain was not allowing me to process. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna stop and I'm gonna call Mila. And that's when I called you, and as I called you, I'm making this left, and then I see the van, and she's right there. So I guess now looking back at it, it was meant for me to be kind of lost so that I could see her, because in my head, I was like, I don't know where she's going. All they gave me was a card with a QR code.
before they took me, they said that she will be taken to the Otay Mesa detention center. So I was taken to ICE detention in downtown first for almost 2 days.
Like she was saying earlier, like we haven't been separated to that point from the moment that we really met. So to not have any contact and to not know where she was at and be separated like that, it was killing me inside. And I'm like panicking and like hyperventilating. Like I called my parents and they came over immediately. And, you know, thankfully I'm just fortunate they just moved to San Diego at that time. And so like my parents were there. To have my parents with me in that moment, it was a blessing, really. But I was lost.
I remember calling Vlad and being like, I don't know who to worry about more, Vika or Louis.
Yeah.
Because Vika's a fighter. I know her.
Yeah,
she's going to struggle, but she's going to fight.
It's the truth.
But I don't know how Louis is going to be without her.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, that's right. That's accurate.
So when you called me, I think the most shocking thing to me, I mean, as an attorney, but also as an immigrant myself, like we came here as refugees and got asylum and were able to stay. Never in my life have I seen in America people trying to do things the right way and being exposed to this and experiencing this. And I am not kidding you when I tell you that when you called me, I stopped everything I was doing and I called every immigration attorney I could find in San Diego, including calling other attorneys who knew cell phone numbers of immigration attorneys. And no one knew that this was everyone was shocked because it had just started happening. So this is like a very particular case because these people are literally trying to do everything by the book, going in, trusting that they are doing things the right way, not having any intention to break the law or do anything illegal. I mean, you guys had a very legitimate marriage. There was no way in hell it wasn't going to get approved. And to have it to be seized from there and taken away, it was crazy. And so I found one other case that this had happened to, and it was a woman who was a citizen of the UK, and she had a baby. And they went into her interview.
At the same time?
Around the same time, it was a couple weeks before. They went into her interview, and they literally took her baby away, gave it to her husband, and detained her.
I heard about it inside.
And I found the attorney who was handling that case, who I then referred. He was helping with that case, who I then had him reach out to you. And thankfully, he was able to help you through the ordeal, but it took 38 days. 38 days of your life that you won't get back.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. How was the detention process?
So first it's like probably something you can compare from the movie, when you see those movies when someone was arrested and taken to police station, to the concrete room. There are just metal benches on sides, the toilet in the middle of the room, also concrete floor, and just those like sports mats, like that black ones, on the floor for sleeping. For blanket was emergency blanket, foil.
Foil?
Foil.
Did it make foiling like sounds when you...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the ones when the marathon runners to warm their bodies up. Or
Yeah.
And you have to go potty in front of everyone in the room.
Yeah. It was just girls, so first it was awkward, but then because we were there all in the same situation, we still were covering each other with this blanket, but then it just became like, we're here, we're stuck. It is what it is. Then for food, it was some sandwiches and burritos, like a couple times a day, something for breakfast, something for lunch. And then 24 hours of bright white light, never off.
Even at night?
So that's even at night, no matter what. In rooms are cold. That's how they explain they prevent of getting sick.
Were you in like a jumpsuit?
Eventually, I changed my clothes to the jumpsuit which they give, because I was like in this type of pants, these shoes.
You saw the video before. She was dressed really nice.
Yeah. So they took my shoes away immediately because it's heels. They gave me 4 sizes bigger, something
Like
call it.
tapechki?
Yes.
Like slides.
Yes. We were all terrified, all girls.
How many girls
Like-
were in the room?
The end, it was like maybe 11 to 13.
In one room?
Yeah.
All using the same toilet?
Yeah.
How often did they let you out to like walk
Just-
around or go outside?
No,
Not at all.
just to take a call. So 2 times, two reasons to get out of the room. No, 3 reasons. First, to make a call. Which I was like just begging for calls for myself and for others. Second reason is when they call you to make your paperwork. And third reason, to being transferred. That's when you leave the room. So they took us all anyway, and again with chains and handcuffs. So just at 2 in the morning next day, I came into the detention unit and went to sleep in the bed kinda. Should say that in my head, the detention where I came eventually, or I expected even worse. When I came in, I saw at least like green and blue couches in the unit, and on the left wall, and like all the rooms, it's like a big open room without doors, 4 and 8 beds in each room. And so this total 2 days were the worst, because it was a mess of the feeling of embarrassment, of anger, of like
Probably confusion.
helplessness, confusion, all of that, because in my head was, this country promised me protection. It didn't even ask for that. They opened this program. They opened this way to me to go in. This country gave me protection, and then the same country put me in a jail with me following all the laws, never like doing anything bad to anyone. Like, what else is happening? And my second thought was about my husband. Like, what shit going on that this country can't protect, that he is the citizen and it touches him. They took away his wife from him, from citizen.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You went through so much. I mean, it's just the trauma. I can imagine your cortisol levels were through the roof, and just not knowing where this would end. And that's the other thing that I think a lot of people are not understanding, because I've heard a lot of sentiment of like, well, these people are not legal citizens here, so they should be detained. But I'm like, they are legal, and like it's costing us tax dollars to keep people detained. People who are trying to do things right, A, and then B, these people, in order to get out of detention so they're not spending our tax dollars, have to spend thousands of dollars on attorneys to just try and get them out, to try and fight them. And a lot of people aren't understanding how expensive that process is, not only the detention, but the attorneys that it costs to pull out of the detention.
Yeah.
This is average how much government pays to detention center per person per day is $250. It's like
$250 per person per day.
per day. And I was there 38 days. This is the amount they spent on me only. Instead of people who have work authorization, everything, they work, they buy, they pay taxes, they provide their own life.
Contributing to the society.
Exactly. They're taking away to those who get those 9,500, have like 90%, I guess, of those money. Because the level of life they provide us there, it's not $250 per day.
The fact that this is literally a nation of immigrants. The immigration systems were set up for people like you and me to come here, apply for asylum, apply for a visa, and get to stay. And I was so incredibly proud. I was 19 years old when I got my citizenship. Not because I couldn't get it earlier, but because we couldn't afford it. It was like $1,500 or something at the time, and we didn't have money. So when I saved up enough money to apply for citizenship, and it was one of the most proud days of my life. I still remember what I wore to this day. I still have the shirt in my closet, and I refuse to throw it out. It's a BB shirt because it's like, it's my pride and joy of being a citizen in this country, but that's why this country was set up. And it was built on citizens and on immigrants. And the fact of the matter is, like, immigrants contribute a lot to the society.
Exactly.
So finding people who are trying to do things right, trying to contribute to the society and pay their taxes and do things by the book.
So only people who really hustle, who really work, who really develop themselves every day and grow above themselves every day. And so many businesses are opened by immigrants, and like in Ukrainian community and others, just what I know, they stay here. The
Yeah.
people who can't do that, the people who expect to come here and just get everything like done for them, they just leave eventually because it's not possible. It's not how life is going on here.
My mom always says that. She says that a lot of immigrants come here expecting an easy life, and when they realize how hard it is to make it here, they don't want to be here.
Yeah.
It's really hard. You really have to work.
So the system is already built the way so it filters.
Yeah. So Louis, tell us a little bit about what was it like for you while she was in.
So for me, I was in shock. The drive home, I don't remember how I got home. Thankfully, I got home okay. But those 38 days, I felt like I was in prison too. It immediately triggered my depression. I took leave from work, and there's no way I would be able to be around people. So I was just at home and trying to navigate and figure out lawyers and paperwork and all of her paperwork that she had set aside. Thankfully, she's so organized, because I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't have been able to find anything. Everything was set up in a way that I can find it. It would have been a mess otherwise. But it was a struggle. Just trying to eat, trying to do anything, just basically waiting for her calls, waiting for her messages, and then her, asking, because she's angry at this time too. She's like, well, when is this happening? Why can't they do this? And I'm like, I don't know, babe. I don't know.
I kept him in tone.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I mean, I can imagine how hard it would be
Yeah.
dealing with your own feelings, but
Yeah.
also trying to seem strong
Yeah.
and together for her, but also managing her emotions.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people would tell me too, it's like, oh, I bet you this will be really great for your relationship. It'll show like how much you love each other and how strong you guys are. It's like, no, we already know that.
And that was a little bit piece in question of because first our conversation when we could talk after we stopped crying, it was like, it's not about our relationship. It's not
Like, why this happened? Is this a test? Is this what is the purpose of this?
It's not a challenge for us
Yeah.
because we already know how strong our love is. We're showing it to each other every day.
You and I are both super into fitness and sports and healthy lifestyle.
You're more.
I think
What
we're
are we
both-
talking about?
Come on. But I remember you called me, and first of all, let me just say, like, your character is incredible, and one of the reasons why I love you, well, a few reasons, but one is, like, your drive. I love that you're a hustler because you remind me so much of me. And I'm a little older than you. But I feel like we have a connection in that we both are always just, like, looking for ways to hustle and just make our way. Just, like, there is no path. We make it. And I love that about you. And the second thing I love about you is your integrity. One of the things that you said to me when you called me, I was having a surgery on December 9th, and you were supposed to help me out during my surgery, and you were like, are you going to be okay? And I'm like, are you serious, girl?
I guess
you are
at that-
detained.
I guess at that point I even thought that I will be out by that moment.
Oh, yeah, you did.
It was before, yeah.
You did. You called me and you're like, I
And
hope
then-
I'll be out so I can help you after your surgery. And I'm like, girl, this should not be something you're thinking about. And then the other thing you told me is that you've been trying to, like, reframe your mind and see a positive, like, try to make the best out of it to the best you can. One of the things you said when you were trying to meditate and kind of take it as, like, a silent retreat.
Yeah.
And the other thing you said that I was so proud and impressed, and I literally told everyone who would listen, is that you were encouraging other women who were detained to exercise, and you were teaching them yoga. So tell us a little bit about that.
In the very beginning, when I came in, I was like, okay, my body needed some movements. I started doing my wellness workouts on the yard. There is like kind of a yard outside, the size of half of basketball field, which is all around it, like concrete walls. Like we could see only the sky. But we had access to the yoga mats, so I encouraged some people to join. The next day they were asking me to do that because it really worked. I feel better, and so on. I was very happy because there is no place you take resource from. There is no channels to refill it. So I was just maintaining myself. I was translating to Ukrainian or Russian and backwards some documents which people needed, or like teaching a little bit of English even.
Yeah.
So anything I could do. But when I got out, I noticed how different person I was there. Like with Louis, I learned how to make jokes, how to laugh and everything, be more like relaxed and make life easier and funnier. Back in detention, it got lost. I was so serious and stiff that I was angrier than usually and everything. I didn't like that version of me with like taking freedom. But then also some of my knowledges about food, so there was horrible food. And just long story short, the real piece of chicken, thighs and the leg was in menu once in 5 weeks.
One piece of chicken once in 5 weeks.
Yes.
Was there any other meat other than that one piece of chicken?
For halal diet, there was beef.
Could you
time
pretend
to
you
time.
have halal diet?
What?
Can you pretend you have halal diet?
Maybe I could try, but I was like, okay, I had Muslim friends there, so they shared some beef with me. And the other food was like, sometimes it's canned meat, sometimes it's like the provolone, which looks and tastes if it would be paper soaked in water and baked. Sometimes it's just one slice of that provolone. Sometimes it's little pieces mixed with pasta. Sometimes it's like in the shape of meatball, something like that. It was horrible, but in that we got some lettuce, and I made everyone who I knew eat lettuce all the time. It's like the only elements we get here. I told everyone, eat all the salad.
How about fruits? Any fruits?
No
That's what I was just
fruit.
gonna say. No fruit. Yeah.
No fruits. It just on Thanksgiving, instead of dinner, they gave us those bags with sandwich, and there was apple. And so people who were there detained for 13 months already, someone for 14 months, they saw apple for the first time for that whole period. And yeah, so health-wise, they don't take care of people. It was my another anger, like big anger, because I had so much control about my life with all the choices I make every day, and they took it all away for no reason. About no reason, because how I got released, it was judge's determination of immediate release. Immediate release means just that you don't have court, they don't judge you, you're just released.
Well, your marriage was approved the day after your interview.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they don't have reason to keep you there.
Once we had the lawyer, he would share information with me. I think a lot of it was just very confusing because, again, I never really needed a lawyer. I never had to do anything legally.
Well, let me tell you one thing. It was confusing for the lawyers.
Yeah.
Because it
It
was
was
so
new.
unprecedented.
Yeah.
People had not been arrested before while they had a legitimate marriage
yeah.
applying for the... So lawyers didn't know at all how courts were going to react. And I think courts were confused.
Yeah.
Because there's also, like, they can't go against ICE. ICE is making these decisions. These decisions are coming from the top.
Yeah.
They can't step on their toes, but also the courts were like, what the hell do we do? This has never happened before.
Actually, what ICE officer who was arresting me said, it's not like what I would like to do, but I don't have choice. It's the order.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll give a good example, too, of, like, the confusion even with the lawyers. So for us, there was like a cutoff date. It was 2 weeks. She had a bond hearing. So it's like, okay, we just have to get to that date, get to that bond hearing date. And the lawyer
It was December 5th.
Yeah, the lawyer was pretty confident. He's like, yeah, we'll get bond and then we'll figure out what we need to do.
I remember that.
I was thinking, like, just get out of here and then figure out it outside.
Yeah.
So the few people that went ahead of us in the courtroom, bond, 1,500 or whatever it was, somebody had 3,000, and I was like, okay, she's up next. But he tells me while he gets there that there was a change and that she's not eligible for bond, and so now I'm panicking.
Because DHS changed my status or whatever, how they
Like the
call
class,
me, the class of my status, how they call me, changed to the way that I'm not eligible for bond, as they said that I am arriving alien, which I wasn't. I was arriving alien go back to the beginning where I said in airport I got stamp. Before the stamp I was arriving alien. Since the stamp I wasn't anymore. So they changed this class to the arriving alien who has no eligibility for bond. And it crashes. Everything crashes at the moment.
Yeah. And then at that point we're unsure when she's getting out, and that became the 38 days. Yeah.
38 days is a long time.
It's a very long time. Yeah.
On December 5th, they gave me next date of the court, December 17th. And that's the day when our lawyer did a very good move and requested judge to determine my USCIS case, my 485 application, which is like approval for green card. Basically, this form says, approval of this form says the marriage is legit, was approved next day after the interview.
Yeah, the next day. It felt like a slap in the face to get that notification on her phone that it was approved. That part is like, yes, okay, our marriage is legitimate.
Yeah, and so lawyer is asking judge to determine my 485 application. He says that he literally doesn't have a jurisdiction to do that. He believes that only USCIS has a jurisdiction to do that. So he says, I would gladly move her case back to USCIS, and I don't see any sense to keep her here. And he says if both sides, which is us, our lawyer, and DHS, are not don't have objectives, I will do that. Of course, DHS objects, just says, yeah, I need to get familiar with the case. To me, it was like, what are you doing there without knowing my case?
Yeah.
How the fuck is it possible? And then second, I need biometrics, which were there in the case. My biometrics were there. So it was just a reason. So court gave her 10 days, which the last day would be January 2nd to get the answer. It happened on December 30th. So that day, I couldn't even get up from bed. At that point, I was like already like
defeated.
Nothing happening today.
You
and
could
I was just
yeah.
trying to stay in the bed as much as possible to get this time done.
Mm-hmm.
So about 12 a.m. or p.m., I get up and call Louis, and he says, finally, I was waiting for your call. It's a good day. It's happening. I'm like, no way, you're kidding. I couldn't believe at that point. December 30th, like right before New Year, 2 days past my birthday. And I start crying, and I see my girls look at me that I'm crying, and they don't understand it's good or bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need to tell them. So it's that cry was about like all of this coming out, like all the story, everything inside. Like it's happening at this moment. I'm going to be free again. Like, I'm getting my life back. That was like very, very hard.
By the time we were getting to that 30th, she was at her breaking point. I can just hear it in her voice. When I would talk to her on video calls, she was just fading. Yeah, and that was the hardest part for me to see that. Yeah.
I wanted to talk to outside world less and less. It's like after the months, it's a point when you just adjusting being there, and you're trying to use your energy to like maintain everything inside, because it's also like many different things going on inside, because it's like up to 160 people in one unit, different people from all over the world.
And I can imagine seeing people in there who were detained for 17 months would cause so much defeat.
And some of them were still so kind. When I got detained and got in, they were helping me. They were like sharing the food, because I didn't have nothing and I couldn't have another week, because there's just 1 week you can order.
1 day.
1 day in a week you can order something from commissary, and it was Sunday and you get it on Tuesday, and I got there on Wednesday. So people were sharing, very kind, were like helping. Women are like such a power.
We sure.
And at the end, when I went to intake on December 31st, and I got my papers about the termination, it said that DHS opposed. They still didn't want to let me go. They didn't have any reason, but judge still made his decision, because DHS, it said, didn't give any like real evidences, any like no
for their
criminal
opposition.
story, no like real reasons for me to be detained.
This is crazy. That's crazy.
And then 9 p.m. Almost 9 p.m. bus arrived to the
San Isidro
bus station, and we finally met.
And you texted me, I remember, and I told the kids, and they were so excited. It was New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And I was like, what a wonderful start to 2026.
Yeah.
Vika's free.
Yeah,
I literally
exactly.
said that, and I came home, and my mom started crying, my aunt started crying. I took a video, and I sent it. I'm like,
so
look how happy
heartbreaking
everyone
for
is.
me.
Yeah.
It was very heartbreaking that that happened to me also touched so many other people who had to like worry and everything. It was like very hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, like seeing her, one, I was so happy, so excited to see her. On the other side of that, I was also so broken by that point, and exhausted and tired. It was just like I was able to breathe again. I held her, she jumped in my arms, and she just had her little prison sweats on with her jacket.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I we drove, we got out of there.
And then we came home and we reunited with our little furry babies.
Oh, yeah, your
Because-
cats. You just got your
Yeah.
cats. They
Just-
must have grown so much in those 38 days.
so much. Just like months before we got detained, we got Moon, the girl from the
Shelter, Humane
from the
Society.
shelter. And on November 22nd, we got second cat, Mars, boy, same age, the baby. And 2 days I got to be with them, and that's it. And they took us.
What was the first thing you did after you got out and came home?
I was craving meat so badly.
Oh, I can imagine.
I wanted Louis to make mashed potato, because mashed potato was so horrible there. I just was dreaming of mashed potato and meat. The next what I wanted to do is like to be by
Free.
the ocean. The coffee. Next day I wanted to get one really good coffee. We went to one place in North Park, and then the ocean was my next plan.
Yeah. And I know one thing I want to touch on before we go is, since you've come out, you've done a lot for other detainees, and you've stayed in touch with them. I remember at one point you were collecting board games to take them over to the detention center and give them. Did they allow you to do that?
Unfortunately, that process a little bit more complicated, because to get donations there, it goes through the system, and you don't know what really they will get. Plus, they limit games per unit. And books, I wanted to make sure, like, to gather books different languages. But the thing is, what I got to know that, for example, Russian language books, because many people from different countries there, not Russia only, speak Russian and read Russian. And for example, it could be even like books learning English from Russian. So library restricted Russian language books for like understandable reason, but it's not all like Russian language used by many different countries, right? So that's the pity part. Maybe some volunteer organization do that.
Mm-hmm.
Any context would help to do that, because I'm still willing and ready to like gather donations, because every person I met there and we got close.
Yeah.
It's like everyone had a story, everyone had a pre-story, and every story was such a heartbreaking, because someone separated with loved ones, someone separated from husband and from daughter, from son, and so on. It is just hard to even imagine the volume of that pain that they caused to people, to having them there. And most of the people who were detained just kept there as long as law
would allow them to.
allows them to, yeah. Not when there is a reason to keep them.
So has your visa been officially approved?
Yeah, so you have your green card now. Yeah.
Fortunately, yes. In January 9th, our case was reopened to review, and January 23rd, probably, green card got approved, and we just ended up being where we had to be.
Yeah, it was just a long trip to get back to where we were at in the office that day. Yeah.
Big detour.
I would say, like, from my perspective on the outside of is like find people inside with you that can support you and keep you strong, because I think that what kept her going was that small group of girls that were with her. She would share stories, like they would pop on the calls every once in a while, and she would share about our relationship, they would share about their families, and that gave her a little bit of humanity inside of that place. And that's why they're still also close even to this day. They go out, they get coffee, we meet the families and get together. Without that, like you were just saying, right, we need to be around others and to learn from others, and that helped her kind of get through those dark days, having those girls in there with her.
Yeah.
So I'd say if you're in that situation currently, find people that will support you in that
and stay
time.
open to them.
Mm-hmm.
Open, sincere, like don't close yourself, because people,
I think that would be
that's
hard
true.
for a lot of people. Like
Yeah.
for me, that would be hard. I tend
Yeah.
to, when I get really stressed, I just like isolate. Like no one touch me.
I'm the same, yeah. So I had to really allow myself to be open and to reach out to people and to take the help. And so, like, I was so thankful that she knew you. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have you. I would have been panicked. I was already panicked, but it gave me like a little bit of like that hope in that moment, where like I was then able to like find more resources, and you were sharing with me, even to go onto the news and to talk to the media. It's like I never would have done that, but
it
whatever
was
I
so
could do.
helpful. Like,
Yeah.
I know you helped so many people
Yeah.
by doing that,
Yeah.
and I'm just so happy that you came back
And
to
we're
us.
so endlessly grateful.
Thank you.
That says about you, what person you are, that you popped up the first on my mind. Immediately call Mila.
And I'm honored and humbled.
And like everyone who's watching that, call Mila. that's true.
Thank
That's
you.
sincere.
Thank you.
Thank
This is
you.
so special. Vika's story reminds us that behind every immigration case, there's a person. Behind every detention, there's a family waiting on the outside. Even in the harshest environments, people find ways to support each other and create moments of hope. I'm Mila Aratunian, and this is Punching the Clock. And if you want more conversations where law meets real life, make sure to subscribe. Because understanding the law isn't just about knowing your rights. It's about understanding the people behind them. And as we say at Antonia and Miranda, know your rights and protect yourself at all times.